past few months have been a challenging time for both students and for the University of Leeds. Now, with the appointment of a new Vice-Chancellor, well respected for her leadership at the University of Nottingham, there's a feeling that change is coming. I sat down with Professor Shearer West to discuss key issues of student finance, freedom of speech, and her vision for the future of the University of Leeds under her leadership.
So I'm delighted to be now joined by the Vice-Chancellor of the University, Shearer West. I'd just like to say first, thank you so much for your time and coming along to join students to discuss issues that really matter to students.
It's my pleasure, Matt. I'm always happy to speak to students and have a conversation.
Brilliant, thank you. So first, I thought I'd touch first on your background and sort of what led you to being here at Leeds and being Vice-Chancellor, and sort of what led you to the role here.
Well, I've been in university leadership roles for a very long time. I've been at Birmingham, Oxford, Sheffield. I was most recently in Nottingham. But this is the culmination. Leeds is a brilliant university. It's an exciting place to be. I was attracted by the incredibly rich research, the student partnership that the university has, and an incredible city as well.
I'm sure people will be very glad to hear you singing the praises of Leeds.
Yes, absolutely.
And is there something you think that students watching this might find surprising about you?
I've got 3 cats, all named after mathematicians.
Oh, nice. What are their names? I'm no mathematician myself, but...
Galois, Chebyshev, and Fibonacci.
Nice.
Yeah,
we
call them Fibs, Chebs, and Gal, needless to say.
Nice. I feel like that's a very academic thing to have as your cat's names.
Well, my daughter is a mathematician, so yeah.
Yeah. And many people watching this won't necessarily know what the role of Vice-Chancellor is. So what does it entail? And I suppose on a day-to-day basis, when you're not here at Leeds Student Television, what's a day-to-day in the Vice-Chancellor look like?
Every day is completely different. It's a brilliant role. It's a very tough role, but I am the Chief Accounting Officer for a university of 38,000 students, 10,000 staff. Financial and academic accountability all comes to me, and I have to provide academic leadership, but I also have to be the key person to engage with external stakeholders, like alumni, local government, national government, our business partners. So I have a big external role as well as the role I have inside the university as well.
So it has great variety, and I suppose as part of that role as being in the leadership, you have to tackle some of the hard issues that we've been dealing with recently.
Absolutely.
I suppose it's not a secret it's been a challenging time for the university with well-publicised accusations of censorship on campus, and sort of that leading to wider discussions around freedom of speech, and also I suppose taking into consideration the protests which have been happening on campus. So what do you feel universities need to do to address these issues, and sort of for the University of Leeds specifically, what are you doing to try to address these issues?
Well, first of all, I want to say, freedom of speech is absolutely core to what we're here in universities for, but that's within the law. So any kind of hate crime, whether it's Islamophobia, anti-Semitism, that is against the law. We do not stand for that. But disagreeing well is what I think we need to learn how to do. So people may have views that may offend other people, but they're perfectly within the law. We need to learn how to have the conversations about our disagreements rather than just shout at each other across social media. And I think that's a problem not just for universities, but for the whole of society today, frankly.
Yeah, and what do you think the university is doing to support those discussions within the campus? Well,
we've got some groups that we're getting together with groups of students, particularly, and staff who are feeling very seriously affected by some of the geopolitical issues, personally affected, and trying to begin to have those conversations in a safe space, behind closed doors, and to understand where they're coming from and to provide as much support, welfare support and well-being support as we can for people who are distressed by current world politics.
And sort of finally on this, there's new legislation coming with the new government. If you were to speak to the Secretary of State for Education, what would your message be to them, and what would you like to see from legislation coming forward in terms of like these issues?
Well, I think the legislation, now that it's looking a bit different than what it looked like before, and I think it's perfectly reasonable legislation now, but we already have laws protecting freedom of speech on campus, and I think it just needs to not become an extra burden compliance burden, but one that adds value to the laws that we already have. That would be what I would say.
Brilliant. And I appreciate you sort of speaking about an issue which is very sort of prominent on campus and something students feel very passionately about.
Absolutely.
And sort of moving on to another issue which students feel incredibly passionate about is the announcement that there will be a raising in tuition fees for UK students. What are you doing as the university to ensure that students feel they're getting value for money with that money that they spend?
Well, I think it's very important that students do feel they're getting value for money. I mean, there's some national lobbying going on trying to get government to rethink the balance between what students pay and what the government pays, and possibly what business might pay. At the moment, the government's not in a position to make big changes. So we do really have to think about what we do and what we provide for students. We're doing a lot of work on improving student satisfaction. We obviously need to understand student hardship issues and help students wherever we can in that respect. But generally, I think we need to help students understand what their fees pay for better than we do. So they're called tuition fees, but it's not just what happens in the classroom. Our welfare support, libraries, labs, everything that provides student opportunity is covered by these fees as well. So I think we need to be a little more explicit about what value for money students are getting from the fees that they're paying.
Yeah, and I suppose it's having those means which students are more able to access these things and more aware of what they pay for and what they can access with it.
Absolutely right, I completely agree, and I don't think at the moment we're as good as we could be at explaining that and making it very transparent what students can access.
And sort of staying along the path of money and finances for students, the National Student Union sort of with a study said that over a quarter of students are left with less than £50 a month to live off after paying for fees and rent. And sort of there's been big issues with the cost of living, particularly affecting students. So what do you think the university can do to help students more with this cost of living? And yeah, do you have any plans to sort of support students further?
It is a very difficult one because the university is experiencing financial pressures as well. As you know, we're all experiencing pressures of the financial situation, the economic climate. But I think we need to look at how to maximize the financial support we can provide for students. We already do provide quite a lot, what they can access, but we also have quite a lot of advice and support services, again, that we need to make sure students know they can access if they do get into that really difficult situation. But it's a problem for the whole of society right now, and I understand how bad it is for many students, and we want to do what we can within what we're able to do. So I think we just need to keep looking at that. We need to keep listening to our students. We do get a lot of information and advice from the Students' Union about where students are particularly finding pressures. Recently, for instance, it's sort of it's around accommodation and getting sort of guarantors for international students for rent. That's come up as an issue, and we're talking to local MPs about, is there anything we can do? I'm not sure there is, but we must investigate it.
Yeah, and I'm sure students will appreciate that you're taking these issues seriously to sort of help them with their time at university, because if you're burdened by financial pressure, it definitely impedes on you enjoying university.
I completely agree with that, and students will have to work to earn money rather than actually taking advantage of all the societies. For example, we can see the burdens on students of having to do this kind of thing while they're studying as well.
Sort of looking back to your time at university,
a long time ago.
I believe I'm right in saying you went to university in both Virginia and St Andrews.
Yes, I did.
So if you would sort of look back at that time, when you were at university, is there something that, in reflection, you do differently to enjoy the experience better?
Yeah, I'd have more fun. I was a real swot when I was at university. I was studied all the time, and I really wish I'd have thrown myself a little bit more into all the opportunities that there were.
Yeah. Sort of good to hear. So the main message from the Vice-Chancellor is have more fun at university.
Yep, absolutely right, yeah.
It's brilliant to hear, it's brilliant to hear. And sort of finally, when people look back at your time, your tenure as Vice-Chancellor of the university in, I don't know, 10, 20, 30 years, what would you want to be remembered for your time as Vice-Chancellor?
I'd want to be remembered for having a genuine collaborative partnership with our students and really leaning into kind of co-creation of solutions to the problems, because we're facing a lot of problems collectively, and if I could be remembered that way, that would really make me very happy.
That's brilliant. Well, thank you so much for your time. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you, Matt. It's been great.
Brilliant. Thank you.
You.